Welcome back to For Your Own Good. I'm Kassidy Warren, and I'm here with Bree and Jordan, arguably probably the most famous designers in all of the short-term rental space. Was the founders and creators of Summer-Led Designs. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you. No, we're so excited to come and join you today.
Yeah, and we're at Level Up Your Listing. This is like one of 12 episodes that we're that we're recording while we're here. But I'm really interested to talk to you about how you both scaled the sort of unscalable business that you've created, because you do designs and furnishing and installation of all of these short-term rental properties all over the country. So I don't know where we want to start with how you did that, or
Yeah, I mean, it has been a journey and a challenge, but I mean, being business partners, like we have been able to divide and conquer. That's really like the core of it. Like early on, we split like our strengths and weaknesses, and we just have a great business relationship. And I think that leads to a lot of success when you're in line with your business partner. But yeah, like what you said, it's been, kind of this unscalable, hard to scale business because we are a service-based industry. Every design is brand new. We start from scratch. No two designs look alike. And so we need team members to design. And it's not like a software company where we could just sell like in a million subscriptions, which maybe in our next business, we're going to go that route after owning a service-based business. But yeah, I mean, I think first of all, before we could have scaled, we needed the business and the leads to come in that then enabled us to take the next step. And that really was fostered from strategic partnerships, from honestly like niching down and becoming experts in a very specific thing. We only design for short-term rentals, and we design based on strategy and research. We're marketing forward. And we're investors ourselves. Like every decision that we make is for the investor. And so offering that, we did see like this gap in the space. When I was starting to invest in 2020, there just wasn't anything like that. And so it just, naturally we started this business to fill the gap. And so with that foundation of great partnerships and a great service offering, things were catching on pretty quickly early. And we had a good problem, which was more leads than we could service. And so Jordan, you could probably speak to like growing the teams, because that's what she heads up, is our design team, which is the biggest team on our company, and growing it.
Yeah. And I exactly what she said is we had to have the lead source and the demand there in order to kind of push us. And so I don't think if that was there, we would have the confidence to even be like, okay, let's keep hiring, or let's, streamline our services. And so that's really was like the good foundation. And so in order to actually scale the business, we did a few things. What we did is specialization right from the beginning was so important for us. So, Bree comes from a marketing background, and she kind of headed all marketing, sales. And then I came from design. So I kind of headed all things design, and, customer service, like those kind of things. And so we kind of siloed ourselves. And so we knew as we continued to hire, we didn't just want someone to come in to wear many hats. We're like, okay, we need designers specifically. We need like a customer service person specifically. And so I think that's what really helped us from the very beginning is we had very, very talented individuals, probably people that were way more talented and better at what they did than we were. And so that really helped us. And then we came up with a structure. So it's like, okay, in order to determine how long a design project needs to last, how many can we do in a month? And so we systemize things very early on. So we still do the same exact system that we did from day one. We do a design project, we take it on, and we start on Monday, and then we hand it off the following Friday. So it's a 2-week turnaround time for our design projects. And each now design team has 1 design manager and 5 designers. And so we did a lot of structural things at first. Operations, like we can talk probably all day about operations. But that has been a very strategic move for us from the beginning. And we really honed in on that this past year by hiring a COO and making sure that our operations are like really in order. So we can now just formulate, okay, we have that team and we can just copy and paste now every time we want to scale.
That's right. And so I do want to know, in the beginning, did you set out to build a company?
No, we didn't.
Short answer, no.
Yeah. It started with my own investment properties.
Yeah.
I've been investing since 2020 and now have scaled my portfolio to over 20 properties. But back in 2020, so I, like Jordan said, come from a marketing background. So I was excited about short-term rentals because it's a business. I've had long-term rentals before, but you're not marketing long-term rentals. And with short-term rentals, I came in looking at my competitors, looking at the market, creating this target audience and who do I want to target to. And so I had this strategy and plan, but I lacked the design experience. I like being creative, but like there's a lot of decisions that need to be made with design. And so Jordan, we've been good friends for a while. Our husbands actually were like freshmen in the dorms together. And then
long time.
Long time.
Exactly.
I got married to my husband. She got married shortly after to her husband. We just came like couple friends. So she went the interior design route and has had a great career in interior design and so creative. And so I like asked her, kind of went out on a whim. I'm like, I know you're so busy and like you have like a great job, but would you help me like on your weekends and your spare time, like with the design of my properties? Like I have this strategy and plan for it, but I need the design. She said yes. Yeah, luckily.
Oh, luckily, yes.
And I mean, yeah, because that really was the foundation. Like we worked together on a couple of my properties and we're like, this is so fun. This is cool. And then people took note because we've been a part of like short-term rental communities, my husband and I, and they started organically asking us. And we're like, this would be a fun side gig. Yeah, let's do that. And like on our weekends, she was still working a full-time job, for a few months into like officially starting. And then from there, I mean, it was pretty early on that we were like, wow, we are getting traction and enough leads that we, created a business plan and really took that leap of faith. She quit her dream job.
Yeah.
You can talk more to that. But no, it wasn't intentional in the beginning, but we did make it intentional at one point. We said, we're going for this and we're scaling it.
Okay. And so you quit your job. What was the dream job?
So I was actually working for an art industry, like an art gallery. It's like an online-based art gallery. I had worked both in interior design as well as in like the art industry. So I was like curating both art and like curating full homes. So it was mostly like high-end residential that I was working within. I started my career in Park City, which is kind of funny to like look back on because that is a luxury vacation market. And so I was already doing short-term rentals beforehand, not even really thinking that that is going to now be like my entire life now. And so, yeah, I remember the day being like, okay, like I'm going to quit. Like, will summer-led really be sustainable for me? I will say I had a little bit of a safety net. I am married. And so I'm like, okay, if worst comes to worst, we can have like my husband's salary and things like that. But I mean, that was the best decision ever. I never looked back. And I remember Bree sent me like a big bouquet of flowers of like, okay, we're doing this. And so it's really fun and rewarding to like look back on that time and be like, wow, like we really did take a leap of faith. And it's definitely paid off. So it's been exciting to see.
Yeah. And so tell me, you said that there was at a point you're like, okay, we need to take this seriously and treat it as a company and structure it as a company. And I love how you described how you have the team of designers and the one lead and the 5 designers, because I used to come from corporate and I would always struggle with leadership because that's how you're supposed to get things done truly is have individuals that are solely responsible. You don't have too many direct reports. Like this is real business stuff.
Yeah.
So like, what was that point where you said, okay, we need to treat this like a real business and structure it that way?
I think one thing that has led to our success is we haven't ever been so strict on like, this is exactly how it needs to be. I think we're both just open-minded and we are continually learning. And so we've been okay to be like, okay, is this working? Is it not? And then just kind of rolling with it. And so it was pretty early on where we're like, okay, we have a team of designers and I was essentially the first design manager. And as we continue to scale, I'm like, okay, wait, I can't oversee all of these projects all at once. I need someone else to help me. And so I think it was just a very natural progression. And just like you said, I think I came from like a more corporate setting. She had experience like in like kind of the real workforce. And, we get to kind of pick and choose things that worked for us in like those previous roles. But then we also got to design like our ideal work environment for ourselves as well as for our team.
Yeah. And so how many people do you have working for you?
Yeah. So just over 65 individuals working for us.
Wow. And so you operate throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
Do.
And so tell me about the challenges of doing design and installs in different neighborhoods, different cities, different
Yeah.
everything, different clients all throughout the country.
Yeah. So we do have two service offerings. One is a virtual design service where we are still, doing all the market research, coming up with a strategy, designing everything for the client and giving them all the tools that they would need. So they're not making a single design decision. They know like how high to hang art and like every little detail. But then for the virtual clients, they are ordering everything and doing the project management. So that side of things has been easy to scale. Not easy, but it has been easier than the project management service, which is our second service offering. And we have our project management team who's ordering everything, hiring local vendors. We're traveling to the properties to be there for the final setup of furniture and staging and photography. We have, scaled that one more, just more intentionally because we don't want to lose quality. There's things that could go wrong. There's a lot of detail when it comes to project management. So I'll speak to the virtual first. The way that we've been able to manage that across the country is because we're based on strategy, we can jump into design without questions and making shots in the dark. We have a solid base that then our design team can go off of. So that has been easy to jump into any market and literally go from, the Poconos cabin property to a Scottsdale bachelorette, because we are designing for a persona and not just off of our own individual preferences. But then the challenges of the project management team has been just making sure we, are keeping up the quality, that we have great local connections. And so we have team members that are dedicated to that, just to vet local individuals. And, for the labor, I'm saying paint and wallpaper and furniture installers and photographers. It is great. And in most markets, we can find great local talent, and that's going to save our investors money than flying a photographer around. But yeah, it's just been creating those connections. And then as we are growing those connections, we're able to scale okay, we can take more on in this market because we have a great solid base.
Yeah. And so what was it like kind of going from the tag team, doing everything, to becoming leaders?
Yeah.
CEOs essentially.
Yeah. Honestly, at a certain point, you kind of have to learn how to let go. And it's almost hard to remember that time, because I think one strength of ours is we hired really good people from the get-go. We feel very grateful for our team and the people that we've just come in contact with just very organically. And so to be able to kind of put trust in other people, I think it's hard for founders and to be okay, are you actually going to do this as well as me? And I think, we've just been so successful with hiring strategies that, I'm more than willing to give, our design director, more direct influence over our team, because I know she's actually way better at that than I am. And I personally love more the leadership role versus in the weeds of everything. So it has been a natural progression, but it is sometimes tough to be okay, I've built this and now I have to give it to someone else. But it's such a vital thing that you have to do at a certain point as you are growing a business in order to continue to grow and scale and be successful. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's hard to think back on those days because it was difficult then, but
Yes.
now, when I'm running interviews, and I've heard you say this too, we are looking to hire people that are smarter and better than we are.
Mm-hmm.
And it is easy. I'm I have no pride in that. I want to hire someone, I didn't go to school for everything. And being a business owner, you kind of have to touch legal and financial and marketing and all of it. I wish I had all the knowledge, but I don't, and I don't need to. I want to hire someone who is coming in to teach us and level us up. So it's been honestly easier now that we've realized that and we've had success, that I'm this is amazing. I want to keep hiring people
I think when you
that.
start to feel it, because that's the big hurdle for most entrepreneurs is to let go.
Yeah.
And to know what they're supposed to be working on, and to also hire people that are better than them and pay them appropriately, and not just try to save money by hiring the cheapest option.
Yes.
Right. I think as soon as an entrepreneur can learn that, the sooner that they're going to grow, they're going to get better, and they're going to have a more successful business. Because if you're trying to pinch pennies, not be a leader, and just try to get a job done, that's not how you create a company. And so for most entrepreneurs, that is the hardest lesson to learn. My mentor is Dan Martell. He's my business coach, and one of the things that he teaches, and I'm interested if you guys do this, is to measure everything, right? So as you let go, you need to have some pulse on what's going on. And so the way that I know how to do that is through metrics. Do you guys use metrics in your business to understand what's going on?
We do. It has been amazing. We're a remote company, which adds this level of difficulty with, you're not in person kind of like watching them do the work. Not that I need to be. Both of us are not micromanagers like naturally. And so that's been good. But we have, so it's KPIs, but we call them scorecards, kind of part of our company culture. So every position has a scorecard, and there's a cadence where you fill out your scorecard, and it's self-evaluation. And it's almost like you're going back to school. Like it's a rubric. And so, for the designers, it's like, okay, accuracy is everything on the spreadsheet, like 100%, all the links up to date is like one of their scores. And, it's like a 1 out of 5 system. And so they're grading themselves, but then the individual takes it to their manager. Like the designers are creating 2 scorecards per month, because like Jordan mentioned earlier, we design every 2 weeks. So they get through 2 projects a month. And then they meet with their manager on a monthly basis and show them their 2 scorecards, and they talk about it. And it's okay to have a low score in some category. Like we're not fostering this perfectionism culture. And it's like, okay, great. Like this one is lower for the month. Let's talk about how we can make an improvement for next month. And the manager may give some feedback too if they notice, something. So it's just, that is honestly a huge part of scaling a company, is keeping the pulse on those different metrics. And it gives us just peace of mind. Like everyone is doing what, we've kind of set out for them to do. And that's all we ask, they're doing that, and their job is a success.
Yeah. And so all that rolls up to you, and you guys see that, you see the scores, you understand, maybe not at an individual level every month, but you're looking at performance of the departments.
We see the team score. Yeah. Because it all adds up to the team. And we're like, okay, we're kind of, lower in this category. So what are we going to do? Is it an operational question? Is it a training? Like, what is the challenge? Yes.
Yeah. This is another thing I think that solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, the sooner that you can get scorecards and KPIs, the sooner that you're going to be able to let go and move on. Because you two need to be out in front, doing the marketing, doing the relationships, making sure that things are operating, being leaders, like removing roadblocks, and not in the weeds and doing designs. And, that's not how you run a business, is by doing everything yourself. So something that I love that you, and I know Michael Elefante talks about this a lot too, is the ROI on design and amenities. And I think you guys actually do the ROI, or you have an understanding of that. Can you talk a little bit about how you can understand the level of investment into design and amenities that the owner is going to be able to get back from their property?
Yeah, I'll let you speak to that. Just since Bree is an investor herself, she's seen firsthand like what our design can do. But yeah, that is the basis of our whole service offering is, we are going to help you get to your goals. And on our free consultation call, we do that. We do a full underwriting and say, okay, this is your property, what your competitors are doing, and what are your goals, and how are we going to get you there? And design is always the answer. That's like, the secret sauce of getting you to reach your goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, for any business, your marketing effort is what's your biggest driver to ROI. And like Jordan said, like the answer is design. Like design is a huge marketing tool, because you're looking at photos, you're looking at the amenities. And that's something that we cover too. We're not just a residential designer, we're a short-term rental designer that looks to amenities. And we are looking to make high impact with budget. Because again, with an investment, it's almost like a bell curve. Like you spend too little and you're not getting a good return, because you're probably not investing in like amenities that you should be investing in, not making yourself competitive, or investing in like an eye-catching design. So spend too little is bad. Spend too much is also bad. And you can't just have every single amenity when it doesn't make sense. And now you're in like $200,000 for like furniture and amenities, but you're in like a market that doesn't justify that. That's also not great. So we're looking for like that great medium
sweet spot.
We're looking at the market itself. And because we're nationwide, we need to look to the market and say, this market deserves this sort of budget and this like stack of amenities. And so that is the base of everything. Like Jordan said, in our free consultation, we look at the underwriting of your property and your specific market, and the budgets will vary, and the amenity like amount and line item will vary. And if you're hitting your target with your competitors, then we'll say, okay, we foresee that you'll be in like the top 75th percentile or above. Now there's other factors that go into it, like great property management, pricing strategies, things like that we don't control. But if you're doing that right and you have great design, we project you to be in this level. Versus if you're not taking these steps towards marketing your property, you're probably going to fall into like the 50th percentile now. But then as things get more competitive, you may start, dropping down even lower.
That's that. Right. Yeah. You don't want to be competing on price. You want to be competing on, the value that you provide. And so what is it about the outliers? Like what do you see? Because you guys are playing in that bell curve, the sweet spot, like you said. How do I know that if I spent an extra, 20%, that maybe I'll get an extra 30% or 40% in ADR revenue? Like how do we figure that out?
Yeah. So, okay, for one, people ask us all the time, like if I put in a hot tub, how much more revenue will I make?
Yeah.
That answer, if anyone like gives you a straight answer, they're like lying because you can't, there's so many factors. Like you would have to have like enough data where everything is exactly the same except the hot tub to say like this exact, like it'll give you 20 grand more in revenue per year. So, but what you can do with the outliers is look at it from a marketing standpoint and say, okay, the competition, like, and also your target audience, like it justifies getting this amenity so that you can compete. But getting towards like the outliers, I have seen with properties that are extremely experiential, where you like, for me and my properties, a health, like what I am like aiming for like the health of my properties is a longer booking lead time. I still want to be like, I don't want it to be all fully booked out because then my pricing is poor. But if I am getting people who are booking like months in advance, my property is like the it property that they're looking for. And I still have it priced high, but they're like sending it to their friends and they're saying, oh my gosh, we have to jump on this now before it's booked out. And that's what we're aiming for with our clients as well and my properties. And to do that, it is just creating like that really unique experience, almost like the virality aspect of it, like something that is just like so much you have to stay here, whether that be like a crazy amenity or just like a really cool design for like a girls group that's going to enjoy it and talk about it and share it on their social media.
Yeah, I think something that I've seen you do is you've really targeted in on specific designs, like the bachelor party house or the bachelorette party house. Like these houses are for bachelorettes. We designed them specifically for those parties. Like, yeah, other people can stay here, but you're not going to pick it really unless you're going to. And so tell me about the thought process behind doing that.
Yeah, well, I know you mentioned Michael Elefante, and he has a property that I think is a great example of this. And what we say like on the consultation calls, on our strategy calls, like with our clients is, we aren't designing for my personal preference or for your personal preference. We are designing for that ideal guest avatar. So based off of the market research, we will see, okay, the majority of your top competitors are bachelorette groups, or I will say most of the time, if it's in the right market, those bachelorette groups, they are willing to pay top dollar. And it's usually not going to be booked out as often. Maybe it's more weekends, but it's still going to make sense for the investor. And so Michael had a property. It was their very first investment that they went in on in Nashville. And I believe it was like in 2019. It was kind of like a COVID investment. And they just kind of did like, okay, just throw beds in there and let's just see if it sticks kind of thing. And it performed well for the first few years. And he noticed, okay, as Nashville was getting more competitive, their overall profitability like was just kind of starting to decline. It wasn't getting booked out as often. They weren't able to charge like the premium rate that they used to. And they just saw that their competitors were kind of outshining them in the design department. And so we actually came in and did a full redesign, like a complete, like different direction. Beforehand, it really didn't have a theme. It didn't really have a color palette. And we came in and did like a whole full-blown like Nashville bachelorette vibe. And it was funny because, we were getting on calls with Michael. He's like, well, this would never be like my personal property or preference, but like he knew that the numbers weren't lying. And so it was really exciting to see that nothing else changed about this listing or this property except design. So, Michael and Jill still owned it. It was still the same property management, same cleaners, like all of that stayed consistent. And design was the only thing that changed. And so I'm trying to remember the numbers, but that one went live beginning of last year. So we have about a year of data. But I want to say it was about like a 30 to 50% increase.
I think if I remember, yeah, because this is the one with they had the butterfly on the wall, and then they also now you guys put in the disco balls. Yeah, lots of pink everywhere, and
lots of pink.
And I think there's the individual seats with mirrors for everyone to sit down and get ready.
Yeah,
the get ready station.
I think that's brilliant, actually, to do that. Even like for guys, you know, if you need,
hey, we all need a mirror to get ready.
Makeup, but I mean, just like it can work for everybody, but obviously it's targeted. So
yeah, and it went viral. Like that's the thing, like that Brie was saying, like the virality, like marketing aspect. I think it was like Jelly Roll's daughter like went and stayed there. And so like, you know, when you have a property that stands out, it will just naturally gain traction. You know, they weren't like reaching out for influencers or anything like that. It was just like, wow, this is a property I want to post about.
That's right. You want to be the best option in the market for whatever your avatar is that you're catering to, because then the demand just naturally goes to that property, right? Can you help me understand? Because I think there's a question that I have and maybe others have is you're designing for cash flow, right? Maximize the cash flow. And when you do your ROI analysis, like, oh, here's how much you should invest, here's how much you can expect, right? With all the things that we talked about. What happens when Michael goes to sell that property? What are you expecting, or what should he expect? Is it going to increase the value of the property? Is it going to hurt it because there's disco balls everywhere, right? You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of us are wondering what the effect is going to be. And there's, Bridget and Blue doing some of the same stuff in Texas, right? Incredible stuff. But, as a regular home buyer, right, you're like, oh man, I'm going to have to like peel this wallpaper off. I'm going to have to like paint the wall, or, and so have you thought about that, or have you seen the impact of that at all?
Yeah. So we ask our clients, what are their investing goals? Like, I love this industry because there's so many paths you can take to get to an end goal. Like, cash flow is a big priority for most clients, but not everybody. Some people are looking to sell, or, sell it as just a property in general, or sell it as like a business. And so understanding the client's goals is really helpful for us to come up with a plan. Because if somebody did tell us, like, I want to even refinance and I want like, the value of my home to go up, that's going to be a different approach. With like home value, you're looking more at kitchens and bathrooms and remodel and adding the value there. And maybe we don't go as like themed, and that's okay. Like, that is a business approach, and we can take that approach with our clients. But if the client is looking for cash flow and just like a really high nightly rate, we're going to go with those more like viral, crazy properties. And so that's okay too. Like, we've even done properties that the client knows going in, it's extremely trendy, and they're probably going to have to do a refresh in a few years. And that scares people, and that's okay too. Like, there's so many different approaches, but that client, we did like a Taylor Swift themed property in Nashville, like extremely like trendy right now. And that may not be the case in 3 years, but they are just booking out like crazy right now at extremely high nightly rates. And that is part of their business plan. They understand they're going to have to reinvest later. So, I mean, for the home value aspect, it's not like it's going to help. Like, if you go to, if someone comes in and audits the property and takes a look, they're not going to say this property is now gained value because we have disco balls in it. Like, and maybe they'll have the opposite effect. I mean, but if that's your goal, like, and your goal isn't the equity and value of your home, I just wouldn't care about it. Like, you can always have contractors come in and take the things down later to sell it. Yeah. And I think as long as people are aware of that, and I think that's totally fine. Yeah. I'm seeing people, they bring on investors and then they do these types of designs. And that makes me nervous as a real estate investor, knowing that, most of the time you get a lot of your investment return on the value of the property, unless the cash flow is just crazy, which it could be in a lot of these properties. So, and so how do you guys stay ahead of the design trends? Because I think one of the most important things about owning a design company is having the best designs, right? And so how do you stay ahead of it all?
Yeah, we're kind of like the tastemakers, right? So we, there are a lot of different strategies. We will see at like what people are doing right now and what is being like very, very successful. And we definitely have to have like a pulse on everything of like, okay, what's working, what isn't. It's interesting because our trends are very different than like the normal residential trends that we might be seeing. And so in order to stay ahead of the curve, like we kind of have to forge our own path in a way. And we just, again, look back to data of like, okay, what amenities are trending? What worked really well for our clients last year? And what do we want to continue moving forward with? And I will say, you know, what we are moving towards is just more experiences, more amenities, and things that are truly unique. I think that even like when we first started, we were maybe going a little bit safer with the designs of, okay, like we know that this is working in the market. And so we would just, you know, kind of rinse and repeat it with our own like little twist on it. But now we're just realizing, okay, we want your property to be the it property. And so how are we going to bring our creative juices with the data and market research to make sure that it's going to work in your market? So I would say, you know, with trends, this still is such a new industry. It really hasn't been around for a long time, especially for what we're doing. And so we kind of have to make sure that like the decisions and trends that we're fostering will be aligned with our client investor goals.
Yeah. And so what are you seeing that are the guest expectations now? Or like, you know, what are you seeing that is going to be important over the next few years?
I mean, I think that guest expectations they don't want just a place to sleep anymore. They want to have an experience and they want to feel like they're on vacation, and not only just like, okay, this is like fun, like a kitschy experience. They want a luxurious experience. And so that has been like an interesting balance for us, especially, is to make sure that like, okay, we still have like a fun experiential stay, but like what are some luxurious things that we can still add into the property to still justify that high nightly rate? So I would say that's, guest experience or guest expectations have changed significantly over the last few years. You know, guests want a certain kind of property, which is great. Like, we love that guests are continually leveling up, because that's forcing us to continue to level up and make sure that we are providing, you know, really incredible designs.
Mm-hmm. Is Airbnb dead?
No. I'm still investing, so I hope
not.
Like, I'm setting up 3 properties right now. No, I don't think so. I just think it's changed a lot. You know, people are, you know, you'll talk to people and say, oh, I do short-term rentals, and like, oh, my mom had a short-term rental and that was horrible for her, and now she doesn't have that. That was a money pit. But I just think it comes back to the marketing. They weren't marketing it correctly. They were going to Home Goods and Facebook Marketplace and just putting beds in there, and that used to work like in 2015 to 2019, and then things shifted. It's just, people need to come in as business owners and realize they have to invest. Like, design and furniture, it's not just an expense, like it's an investment. Same with these amenities. And it's just like a change of like mindset. And I think there's this new wave of investors who are coming in with that business mindset. And I think if you're doing it right, it's not dead. My properties are performing, and we see our clients too, you know, even from like the get-go, they're listing their properties and they're emailing us like, wow, like I was so nervous about it, but I'm getting, you know, I have this many bookings already in a few days.
Yeah, and tell me if you agree with this, but I think there's going to be essentially two property types that are going to exceed or stick around for the long haul. I think number one, there's the core products, right? There's the 3.2s, the 4.3s, the really well designed, the bachelorette party examples that you've described, but you have to run them exceptionally well. You have to be your 5-star hospitality. Everything has to be clean. Yep. Like, the amenities have to stay well maintained, well taken care of. I think the standards from guests for the core product, and when I say core product, I mean on Airbnb. I think the main product that you get is a 3.2 or a 4.3 house that's been designed really well. I think there's so many of them out there that if you don't live up to those standards, that guests are going to immediately ding you and you're going to have a hard time surviving, right? The other two that I think are going to continue to be unique to Airbnb and allow them to like really thrive are the kind of the mega mansion, big properties. You can fit 20 people. Like, there's nothing else where you can get 4 families, you know, or a full family vacation. You've got a putt and, you know, you've got the movie theater room. Like, you just can't do that at a hotel, really, for the same price that you can on Airbnb. And they'll overlook some, if there's operational issues or certain things going on. I think you can get by not being like the best of the best of the best of the best on those properties. And then the other one is the unique stays, the potatoes, yes, right? And so those are, the tree houses, exactly. Those are kind of the properties that I see surviving. Is that what you see? Or are you seeing something different?
I would 100% agree with that. My husband and I are going in the direction of, now we're just investing in 6+ bedroom properties. Because like you said, you can't find that anywhere else. And, you know, when you're a business owner looking at this industry and our audience is the guests, you have to understand like their buying habits. And now if my husband and I were going to travel, just the two of us, we're getting a hotel. like truly.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of like those smaller stays, not everywhere, it depends on the market, but yeah, like you're kind of shifting back to the hotel stays because you kind of know what you're going to expect and people have had bad experiences. But yeah, you can't repeat a hotel when it comes to like a big family gathering. So if we're booking like a vacation for our siblings and our parents, it's like you instantly go to Airbnb. I'm not thinking like, oh, we'll get 4 hotel rooms and I'll stay in a hotel. So just understanding like it's just a business, like understanding like where the trend or where the guest, what are their priorities and their buying habits, and then kind of following that is going to secure your spot in any business.
Yeah, I think you have to understand like what the value is that you're offering to the guests, right? And if it's a Amazon furnished house that is a 3-2 and it's all white, it's got the Chloe tile. I talk about this a lot, but I can spot Chloe tile from like a mile away. We've used it. Yeah. But you know, that's what I mean about trying to stay ahead of the design trends, right? Yeah. Everybody uses it now because it's the right price and it's the right look. And so everyone started putting it in. And so and then when guests go to book and they look at these photos, they know exactly what they're going to get and they decide not to book because they've been and they've stayed there so many times and they know the host isn't really a host. And they, you know, there's all these problems that I think we're facing in the industry that we're going to have to solve. So, well, let me ask you about hotels because I buy hotels now. I've shifted. We're still going to continue to invest in residential. Maybe, I don't know. But we're going hotels because for me, it's the scalability and the valuation of the property, right? Like we can get the cash flow, but really it's the increase in value. And so are you investing in hotels? Are you starting to do designs for hotels? Is that something that you guys do?
Yeah, we're definitely starting to do design for hotels. I don't know about your investment goals, but yeah,
not right now.
Not right now. Yeah. Hotels are interesting. It's a totally different beast, like I will say, especially like even coming from the design side. There's a few different strategies. It's like, do we just want to rinse and repeat? Do we want to have more of a boutique experience where it's like a different experience in each one of the rooms? Like there really are different strategies. And that again goes kind of back to the investment goals of, are you just wanting to increase the value of the property? Are you wanting to have it kind of more like an Airbnb stay, but it just, you know, has more of a community feel? But yeah, we are definitely starting to get more boutique hotels. I think that is definitely a trend with investors right now. I think there's a little bit more of like a layer of protection for investors of, okay, if it's really set up as a true business, it's already zoned for, you know, hospitality, then like it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, in terms of design, I mean, I think it's like the same principles that we do like for single family homes are easily applied to hospitality because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. It's hospitality design.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about the entry and the lobby and the common spaces when you think about hotels or even Airbnbs? What's your approach to common areas or when you first enter the property?
Yeah, I mean, that is your first impression. And so we really do take a lot of time on common areas, just even like in single family homes. Like we want to invest more of our money and resources into those gathering spaces. You know, if you're booking like a large property or you are going to be booking like a boutique hotel, you know, that's going to be the most important draw is because you're going to be with someone that you love or a group of people that you want to spend time with. And so the gathering spaces are important because that's where they're going to be making memories. And so those are also going to probably be like your best photo moments. And so yeah, invest more into that. And I feel like even sometimes bedrooms, like we tend to maybe even like take away from that budget because we want the amenity spaces and the common spaces to be the shining moments.
Yeah, that's right. Cool. Well, this has been really great. I really appreciate both of you coming on and sharing all this knowledge. It's really impressive what the two of you have built. And like, I love the language that you guys are using around business. I think a lot of people can learn a lot from you in terms of treating their business seriously and structuring it properly and not being afraid to grow. And so is there anything else that you'd like to leave everybody with? Or where can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, as far as, you know, getting a hold of us, we run a free consultation. And that, honestly, I would say any investor who is either under contract on a home or, you know, struggling with their property and, you know, thinking, should I redesign? Should I sell? What do I do? Just get on a consultation with us because we talk numbers. we're investor focused. And so we know from the investment standpoint, you need to know what you're getting into. It can't just be like, oh, I think this is a good idea. So on the consultation calls, we're going to look at the data of the numbers and say, okay, again, if you're going to be investing this much, this is where we project you'll be with your nightly rate and your occupancy, with good, healthy data. And that's where you start. And so you can get a hold of us via our website. We have just a contact form, then you can schedule a call right on our website as well. From there, if you decide to move forward, we are jumping into the strategy first, and we're going to pin down the strategy with you before getting into design, because we want to feel very confident in that strategy and have it be fully fleshed out.
Great. And so the website is?
So it's summerleddesigns.com. And you can also follow us on Instagram. We're summerled.designs on Instagram.
Okay. All right. You didn't get that summerled only handle, or?
We're working on it.
Yeah. It's DMing people and then an account from 2014 that won't respond.
Yeah.
So
mine
maybe
too.
someday.
Yeah. The ones I wanted, they put one post 10 years ago and they haven't,
The worst.
So, it's the worst. But well, I love what you guys are doing, and I appreciate everything, and I can't wait to see the designs that you guys are putting out and the work that you're doing and inspiring everybody. So, and again, as always, everyone out there, appreciate you. This has been For Your Own Good. Go get a hold of them, and if you want to make more money on your short-term rentals, you two are the ones that they need to go talk to. So, all right.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been so fun to not only talk about our offering, but our business too. We don't usually get to talk much about that. So it's been fun to reflect.
Yeah. But I mean, you guys know what you're doing. And it was the first thing I thought of. I was like, how'd they scale an unscalable business? Right.
We're still doing it.
Yeah. Still doing it.
Still trying to figure it out.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.